Good morning, everybody. I'm Joanne Johnson, Executive Director for the Oconee County Chamber of Commerce, and this is the Chamber News. I'm very honored this morning to be joined by three wonderful guests. I know that you guys are anticipating this call, so thank you for tuning in. With me this morning, we have Senator Thomas Alexander, Senator Lindsey Graham, and also Senior Counsel to Senator Graham, Nick Myers from Washington. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me this morning.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So what we'll do, because I know everyone has a very pressing schedule, Senator Alexander, if we can jump right into you with your weekly update, because you're so kind to come and join us every week, and you've really been informing everybody about what is going on in the community in Oconee County by way of unemployment numbers and industry impact. So I'm just going to defer to you and let you go ahead and share your information on that.
Well, thank you, Joanne, and appreciate your continued efforts and to be on the program and to have each week, but also to be here with our senior U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, who's right here, resident of Oconee County. We're delighted to be on the program together, and certainly our hearts and thoughts and prayers continue to go out to the victims of the tornadoes and the disasters last week. And let me just say, too, that from that standpoint, everybody, the whole team is really working hard, and to see the positive impact is fantastic. But in that context, we do continue to have to deal with the virus that's going on and the impact that it's having on the economy as well. The numbers that were just out for the week that ends April 18th, so would have ended last Friday. So these are the numbers for the week of Monday the 12th through Friday the 18th. There were 73,116 claims, initial claims in that week statewide. As many as that is actually a reduction for the first time since mid-March, since this began, of 14,570 claims from just the previous week. So we're finally seeing a decrease. In total over the last 5 weeks, we've seen over 340,000 claims during that period of time. And again, and you had Jamie on yesterday on the program talking about the challenges that the agency, they're working hard. They have paid out over $350 million in this 5-week period of time between uninsurance claims, and they're going ahead and fronting for some of those that qualify, and they know will qualify for the $600 on the CARES Act provision that has not actually started coming down. So those monies through the federal government and through Lindsey's help will be repaid to the state from that standpoint, but they're at least getting that money into the economy, into the pockets of folks to the tune of total between those two of over $350 million. They're working extended hours. The call center has been increased by 850% over the last 5 weeks. Now for the job numbers for last week, again, for claims in the region, Oconee County had an additional 1,000 initial claims for the week ending April 18th. Pickens County had 1,873 claims. Anderson had 3,413 claims. So actually, when you set those side together, you got a little bit over 6,000 claims between those 3 counties. If you add Greenville and Spartanburg together, you're looking at over 14,000 claims. The Lexington-Richland area, you had over 8,400 claims. In Myrtle Beach area, Horry County alone was over 7,800 claims. And then if you take the Charleston, Dorchester, Berkeley, Beaufort area, you're at about 14,000 claims. So a lot of those are consistent with what we've seen. And certainly the hospitality industry is continuing to be majorly impacted, but we are seeing that trend also some now in manufacturing as well. So I'll stop there and yield the rest of the program to Senator Graham and his staff. Thank you.
Well, real quick though, Senator, I'm curious. Sure. Do we know yet how many of those claims have been fulfilled? So are people receiving the money yet? Do we know?
Yeah, that? This $350 million has actually gone out and has been paid out by the agency. So that money has actually been distributed. So
that's the stimulus money that you're talking about?
No, that's regular uninsurance benefits.
Okay.
And some of, not stimulus, but the $600 that's under the CARES Act. But even though the CARES Act has not been implemented yet, you've got some employees that qualify under the state unemployment insurance. Those individuals will also qualify under the CARES Act. Where they know those individuals are going to qualify under the CARES Act, they're going ahead under their system. They're able to go ahead and put those funds with those they've already approved. Now, where the issue is that we're having to wait for the second level of questions, those that have been deemed non-qualified because they are 1099s, they're sole proprietors, they're contractors, they're in the gig economy. Those criteria have not been put into place yet. So those funds and those individuals, while they're saying they're deemed not qualified now, they will be, and it will be retroactive is the way I understand it.
Yep, that's fantastic news.
Hope that was clear enough.
That was, thank you. Senator Graham, in regard to the stimulus package, how many of those, how many people have actually received that, or do you know? I know we have all this money that we've been told that yes, it's going to be dropping into people's accounts. There was a first wave of that. Do we know how many people at this point have already received that?
No, but millions of them. Do we know, Nick, about the $1,200 payment?
No, there's not a specific percentage of people have begun receiving checks.
Yeah, so is anybody under $75,000 of income is going to get a $1,200 check. If you got a direct deposit for Social Security, let's say it will go into your account. A lot of those people have already gotten the money. It's going to be based on 2019, 2020 tax returns to determine if you make $75,000. But you still get the money if you haven't filed a tax return. If you're a Social Security recipient, they can look. You still get the money if you make under $75,000 or less. From $75,000 to $99,000, it begins to phase out. But millions of people, I've known people around town have got it, so I don't know the exact number. It's going to take a few more weeks, I think, before everybody gets it. The small business loan program, we put $310 million back into it. We said $60 billion is designated for small business who do community banking. The problem we've had with this program is Wells Fargo and Bank of America, some of the larger banks, they've got long-term customers that have sort of got the first tranche. You heard about Ruth Chris, you know, this national chain. They got franchisees that are technically of the money's available to. The goal for me has always been to get the mom and pop stores, keep them from going bankrupt, where the second round has had more criteria put on it in terms of eligibility, but there are 4,500 banks participating in the program. You go to the bank, you make an application, you show that you've had a reduced revenue stream because of the coronavirus. You can borrow up to 2.5 times your payroll as of February the 15th. 75% of the money has to be spent on employees to keep people from going into unemployment. The goal of this small business loan program was twofold. Is to keep employees attached to their employer, give revenue to a business that's been shut down, pay the mortgage payment, the rent, the bills associated with owning the business, give the business owner their salary, but also to keep the employees on the payroll of the business so they don't have to go into unemployment. That's the goal of this program. We've had over 1 million businesses get money that are 10 and under. We're trying to redefine the program to make it more small business centric so that the Ruth Chris and the Shake Shacks, that we get away from giving money to people who have ability to go borrow and stay in business apart from this loan program. The problem we see is the interaction between the unemployment benefit and the small business loan program. Let's say you got a restaurant in Seneca, Walhalla. You pay people $17 an hour to be a cook. Well, you're making $23 an hour under unemployment because the $600 benefit that the federal government has provided is on top of the state benefit. I think it's $326 a week is the maximum state benefit. Well, when you add 600, that's $9.26 a week. That's $23, over $23 an hour. A lot of people want to stay in unemployment and don't want to come back. We're paying people more to be unemployed than to work. And my amendment that failed, and we're going to bring it up again, would cap your unemployment benefits to your actual wages. So if you made $17 an hour working for the restaurant, you went into unemployment, you couldn't make more than $17 an hour. So that makes it easier for the employer to call you back because I guess you get some benefits at work. But we're paying people more not to work than work, and that's going to create a huge problem. The $2.2 trillion bill was passed in a week, went by a voice vote in the House and 96-0 in the Senate. There's money for hospitals. There's money for charities, food banks that are just being exhausted. There's all kind of money in here for vaccine research about the virus, and I'll take questions. This is going to come back in the fall, but hopefully by the fall we'll have drug therapies that keep you out of the hospital. If you get this thing at a certain age level, it is very lethal. I want to reopen business. You got 3 phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I think we need to follow these guidelines. Georgia's talking about opening up tattoo parlors and massage therapy. I just really worried that's too far too quick. We got to let this thing get under control. I think we're about to hit our peak here in South Carolina. I think the governor's done a good job. Thomas has been terrific. The tornado damage, he sent a bunch of Department of Transportation trucks up here to pick up all the debris. The emergency declaration, disaster declaration for Seneca in South Carolina has been put in by the governors at FEMA now. We're pushing that through. But most people on this phone call have had a reduction in income. These small business loans are still out there. I would go try to get one if I could, and if you have any problems, you can talk to me and Nick.
Thank you. Several things that I kind of wanted to expand on. Everything you said obviously is important and is resonating with people. I know you're talking about the essential workers that are working for the same amount of money that they have always made.
That's right. I mean, you're working for $15. You're going to the hospital, working as a nurse's aide, $15, $17 an hour around a bunch of sick people, and somebody's making $23 an hour not to work. I guess my question would be, is there any sort of a package that is being looked at that could be some sort of a stipend or something paid to essential workers during this time? Because they're out there, not only are they working for the same amount of pay, but they're putting themselves at risk. Yeah, that may be in phase 4, but the thing I want to do is not disincentivize people from working. So this $600 federal benefit was designed to make people whole, but it was never designed to give them more than they make. And how did this happen? Well, they tell us at the state level the computers cannot compute the difference between $326 and your actual wages. They can in South Carolina. But the reason Congress did this is that we were told by the Department of Labor that the computer systems could not compute the difference between the state benefit and a person's actual wages up to $50,000. So we wound up giving everybody $600. So again, there are a lot of people in Myrtle Beach that work in restaurants, bars, and hotels for $16, $17, $18 an hour that are making more in unemployment, and is putting pressure on the employers because they're having a hard time, if they can begin to open, of getting their employees back. We've got to fix that in phase 4. If we want to give an enhanced benefit to the frontline workers, that's something to think about, but we've spent $2.2 trillion. We spent almost $3 trillion. There's only so much you can spend here. So I just admire people who are out there working in the essential workforce. And the best thing we can do to them is just pray for them and make sure, they get their checks. And if we can do a bonus, that's great. But we shouldn't be paying somebody $23 an hour not to work when they're out there working for 16 and 17. That's just not fair.
You know, let's go back to the stimulus package again. You know, if you get on the internet and you look around, they're saying that there's talk of perhaps even another stimulus package that's in the works for another $1,200 for individuals and the $500 for the children again. Is there any truth to that?
I doubt that, unless we have a complete economic crash, because we got to, you know, we're spending almost $3 trillion already. The hope is to get the economy up and running. The best way to get people money is through the economy, not the government. The reason we're doing this is no fault to your own. You had to shut your business down because to keep the virus from consuming the entire country. I'm convinced that if we had not acted in March, as the president did, there'd be 1 million people dead right now. Look at how many people have died shutting the whole world down. This is a very dangerous, lethal virus. I talk to Dr. Fauci every other day. He's convinced me that if we had not taken strong action, we'd had 1 million to 2 million people die. And those people who doubt that, I don't know why you doubt it, because we've got over 50,000, right at 50,000 now, dead with shutting the entire economy down. So this virus, there's no treatment for it yet. The day you get a treatment, then it'd be much easier to go back to work because people won't die when they get it. So I think the president's done a darn good job. I think this $2.2 trillion package had to be done. These small business loans are designed to keep you in business, even though you don't have revenue until we can open up the economy. I think May 1st, we're going to see more and more businesses open, and by the summer, we're going to get back to a more normal lifestyle because the virus will do worse in the heat. But the key here is to get some drug therapies to keep people out of the hospital when they get sick, and eventually a vaccine. So there'll be a phase 4, Thomas. We'll probably put some money in there for state government. Y'all have lost a lot of revenue.
Well,
Myrtle Beach is 50% of the sales tax collections in the state. The Grand Strand, they're completely shut down. So in phase 4, you'll see some money for state and local government, their expenses associated with the virus. This $310 billion round 2 of the Small Business Administration loan program is going to reach a lot more small businesses.
and to that point, we appreciate, Lindsey, the work that you've done in your leadership from that standpoint. And I would also say, Joanne, that the governor, I think, has done a fine job being very strategic and listening to the health officials here in South Carolina. We know we continue to have cases. I think we had around 160 additional cases yesterday, several additional deaths from that standpoint. And we do want to move in South Carolina to open up the economy as safely as possible within those guidelines, as quickly, but with the emphasis on safety. And also I would point out to Lindsey's comments too, that what people are doing on the front line, not only their healthcare providers, but the citizens of this state, of exercising the protocols of distancing, washing their hands, these things is making a tremendous difference. And the success that we're having in bending that curve is because of people in the communities. And we got to continue just to stick with it, hunker down, continue to do what we know is working to make a difference in saving lives, as Lindsey was talking about, and helping us get the economy back quicker. From that standpoint, you know, the governor made a decision along with the superintendent of education yesterday, along with listening to health officials, that it was probably wise under the circumstances to continue not having school through the remainder of this current school year, May, early June. And I think that that will continue to help make as difficult a decision, as inconvenient as that can be for the families. It's going to be critical for us to make sure that we are addressing the impact of this virus and stuff. But we got to continue to utilize those protocols because it is working and making a difference. And it's because of the people of our communities and our state that we're seeing a decline. And I'm grateful to folks exercising those protocols.
It's absolutely right. And the only trouble that I see right now, and we were doing that in Oconee County to a significant degree, and then of course we had the tornado,
Right.
and that was a game changer.
Right.
And so, and Senator Graham, you know, you're from here as well, and so this affects you incredibly. But you know, everyone means well, and their heart's in the right place. But I think our hearts sort of got ahead of us, and everybody's running out there to help, as we should be. But what can we say about continuing with the protocol and the precautions during a time like this? Because as we all know, this is unprecedented. We've never dealt with a pandemic and a tornado being ground zero for a tornado simultaneously.
Well, just what Thomas said makes perfect sense. I've been driving around town. I went up to Board Warner, and I want to compliment Thomas because we've had a lot of Department of Transportation people come in with trucks to get the debris out. I mean, it's amazing how quickly they move stuff. And I think 69, 70 homes completely destroyed, a lot of them damaged. So, you know, it's almost like everything now but locusts. But can you imagine World War I just ended, then you have the Spanish flu that killed 50 to 100 million people. So, you know, I admire those people back then. But just as Thomas said, helping your neighbor, the best thing you do to help your neighbor is to get out there and help them clean up the yard and, you know, bring around water and food and that kind of stuff. But just stay 6 feet away the best you can. That's all I know to say, Thomas.
Yes, I would agree with that. And we are seeing a tremendous amount of compassion and care by our neighbors, church community, faith-based, other volunteers, and a lack, a support of the county and the cities and municipalities, everybody working together as we knew they would, but to see it in action is just is very a great feeling to your heart to see people do that, and to do it under these circumstances with trying to exercise to the best of our ability those protocols.
One of the questions that just came in, Senators, is this may come back in the fall. You know, we may have another spike, and what will happen to our businesses then if we see a spike and we have to reclose businesses?
I don't think we're going to have to go back into what we're doing now. And this is what Dr. Fauci said yesterday. So think about it this way. What can we have in the fall we don't have now? We'll have a lot more tests. So if BMW wants to go back to business, they can test their employees. They'll find that some have already had the disease. They're probably immune at least for a year, so they're good to go until we get a vaccine. Then you'll have tests available for people who have symptoms. The asymptomatic people that have it and don't know it, you'll find out if they've got it. So the more testing, the more you can open up the economy. And by the fall, we're going to have a lot of people in this country tested, and we'll have tests that can be done on site in 5 or 10 minutes. By the fall, we'll have replenished our protective equipment. We'll have gotten the supply chain better situated in America, not China. And if you want to blame somebody, blame China. We need to crush China over this. By the fall, we'll have drug therapies. This Rezinavir, a drug administered to people very critically ill in Chicago, showed great results. Most of them were able to get out of the hospital. So I think we'll have drug therapies by the fall. We'll be closer to a vaccine, and it will come back in the fall, but we can contact trace. We can isolate people who are infected. We can find out who they talked to and tested them and go on about our lives. The key to this is more testing, more protective equipment, and drug therapies. If we'll just do what Thomas said, follow the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 guidelines, build up the ventilator system, we'll be in good shape in the fall so we don't have to shut the whole economy down.
Senator Graham, on the top of your head, do you know how many people are being tested in Oconee County at this time?
No, I know that the focus right now is the people in the hospitals, the frontline workers. So here's how testing will work. You'll start having more tests that can give you a result in minutes, not days. You'll have tests that can find out where you've had it or not. Because if you had it and build up antibodies, you're probably good for another year. So the key is to get every frontline worker, the the hospital workers, people that work in the grocery stores, they've been terrific to get them tested on a regular basis. And we're probably weeks away from having the blood test that can tell if you've had it mass-produced. The problem is that the reagents you need to do the test, a lot of these reagents are in China, so we're going to try to create reagent supply chains here in the United States. So I think by June, July the 4th for sure, we'll have mass testing capability. But most of the testing done in Oconee County has been done for people in the hospital, working in the hospital. If you're showing symptoms, they test you to see if it's coronavirus or a cold or allergies or the flu, and we're testing frontline workers, the ones who expose themselves the most.
Many of us suspect that we may have already had it, so that's really good to know. I know a lot of people in December were very, very ill
25%
and suspecting that.
of the positive that we'll find that a lot of us have had it, and it really didn't affect us that much. And they think that once you've had it, the antibodies are good for a year or so. Then you'll have a vaccine. This time next year, hopefully we'll have a vaccine available to the public. People still die from the flu, but the reason we don't shut the country down because of the flu is because we've built up immunities to the flu. We have a vaccine for the flu. We have treatments for the flu. We don't have any of that here. You know, we're going to lose well over 50,000 people before this is over with, having shut the whole country down. If we had let this thing run wild without any vaccines, without any therapies, we'd have well over 1 million people dead. And the president decided not to do that, and I think he was right not to let that happen.
And so you think with the vaccine, as far as its development, we're maybe within a year away from having the vaccine?
This year, I think we'll have a vaccine widely available, but the key is drug therapies. Right now, we don't have any real treatment, but this Ritonavir, maybe what's that drug, Nick? Was it hydroxychloroquine? That
That's
might
right,
work,
yes, sir.
I don't know, but they'll find a breakthrough in drug therapies that keep you from dying, that keep you out of the hospital, that takes it from a 10 to 1 or 2. When you find drug therapies that can lessen the effect and keep people out of the hospital, that's when we turn the corner. The reason you just don't want this thing to run wild is it overruns your hospital systems. I mean, look what happened in New York. There are less than 1 million hospital beds in the country. If we'd let this thing run wild, every one of them would be inundated right now.
Do you know also in regard to the ventilators? I know that each hospital has a certain amount of ventilators. Of course, they were seeking new ones, but that adapter, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Have people been utilizing that in hospitals?
Yeah, Prisma, the Greenville. What's the name of the company?
Prisma Health.
Yeah, they came up with a way to do 4 people on one ventilator. We've turned the corner on ventilators. We've got all the beds we need. Thomas and the governor made a good decision to stop elective surgeries to free up hospital beds for really sick people. I think we'll start elective surgeries here pretty soon. That will give revenue to the hospitals, and the doctors have lost a lot of their income. So, yeah, I think we got the bed space on hospitals. You know, all these hospitals beds built up in New York weren't used. That's a good thing. In the fall, we'll have all the hospital beds we'll need. We'll have all the ventilators we'll need. We'll stockpile our protective equipment, and hopefully by the fall we'll have some drug therapies, and that will allow us to not have to shut the economy down.
Absolutely. And gentlemen, in keeping with our time this morning, because I know that you're all incredibly busy and we're right at the mark for 10:30. Senator Graham, if you could give any closing remarks, please, any words of encouragement,
Sure.
Just touch on anything last minute.
I think the governor in South Carolina has done a good job. We're going to begin to slowly open up our economy. The goal is to open up our economy without inflaming the disease. I think we can do that. The disaster relief for the tornado damage is in Washington. The application will push it through. Thomas has been just such a good friend and a good guy to work with. What we've done to clean up Seneca, a lot to do with the state coming in large numbers with trucks and workers to help us. Just what Thomas said about maintaining the guidelines and the distancing is the key to this. Better days are ahead. I see light at the end of the tunnel. I think drug therapies are coming online pretty quickly. That we're seeing that what we've done is flatten the curve, and if we'll just keep the discipline in place, this thing is going to begin to lessen, and by the fall, we'll be ready for it when it comes back. The small business loan program has got $310 billion more in it. There's more strict requirements to make sure the money goes to small business, not bigger businesses. You can borrow 2.5 times your payroll. If you keep your employees paid, you can get a grant for 8 weeks. You don't have to pay it back. It's a 1% loan for a 2-year period. The unemployment benefits, my goal is to make sure that you get your money that you lost when you got laid off, but you don't get a pay raise. If we don't fix that, it's going to be hard to recover. So I'm increasingly optimistic that we're turning the corner, but we can't take our foot off the gas right now. I think closing the schools made sense. By the summer, the virus is going to be hurt by the heat, and we'll use that time to build up our stockpiles. What I saw in Seneca makes me proud to live in Oconee County. This is a great place to live and do business, and we intend to keep it that way, and I appreciate you letting me be part of this.
Thank you, Senator Graham. And for those who may have been a few minutes late getting on the call, I know technology is a little rough. On top of it, it's raining cats and dogs out there right now, so that kind of, hampers our technology. So we also have on the phone with us Nick Myers, who is the senior counsel to Senator Graham. Nick, thank you for joining us today. And do you have any last words that you wanted to say to anybody real quick before we move to Senator Alexander?
Just thank you so much for having me, Joanne. Everyone on Team Graham's available to help with any inquiries anyone has, and please let us know how we can be of assistance.
And we got, got my 2 guys in Pendleton, Logan, and just all, they're great. We got a good team in Pendleton. That's the office closest to Oconee County, and so, I got 3 people there ready to help, so call us if you need us.
And I really appreciate all of us coming together and Senator Graham, you as well, being able to speak on the federal level as well as the state level and the local level, because this is your hometown too, and we know how deeply this affects you as well. Senator Alexander, thank you for sharing the updates this morning, and I so appreciate you every week coming and giving us your weekly update. Those are incredibly valuable and appreciated. Any last words this morning?
Well, no, Joanne, just thank you again for hosting this, and what a pleasure it is to be on with my friend Lindsey Graham. And Lindsey, we appreciate your leadership at the federal level. It is truly a team effort to have him up there fighting and working for us on the tornado relief and what he's doing with us with FEMA and working with the governor and all of us as we try to deal with the virus. It is truly a team effort, and working together we can accomplish so much. And again, to the folks, the volunteers, to the city, the county, other municipalities have been a part of this cleanup and being a part of this restoration here in the aftermath of the tornadoes, and all the volunteers, the church, the faith communities. We're just so grateful from the bottom of our heart for the example that all of y'all are setting for us, and together we will be stronger. And I think today, again, is a great example of the team of us all pulling together for the good of the citizens of our community, our state, and our nation. And I'm proud to be on here with my good friend Senator Graham, and with Lindsey, if it's okay to call him that, and also you, Joanne. We appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Very much okay with Lindsey. I'll be Lindsey long after. We got Drew, Logan, and Denise in Pendleton. If y'all have any questions, Nick is in Washington, but that's how you can get a hold of us. So. We got a good team in the upstate, and we're a phone call away.
Great.
Absolutely. And of course, questions are starting to come in again as we're getting ready to close, and just about the EIDL. And just real quick, and I'm going to let y'all go. I promised that I would. Once you apply, you do not have to reapply. Is that correct?
That's right, Nick. That's right. Once done, you're in.
Okay, very good. So, gentlemen, again, thank you, thank you, thank you for all of your hard work, for everything that you do for us at the local, the state, and the federal level. God bless you. Please come back anytime. We know that everybody would love to hear from you. And again, Senator Alexander, we will see you next week for sure.
Absolutely.
And if there's and if they have questions too, they can either get a hold of you guys or they can get with the chamber. They can go to director@oconee-chamber-sc.com, get those questions into us, and we will certainly do our best to get them to all of the senators and the congressmen as well, and even perhaps the governor. So, send those questions in. We will do what we can to get you the answers as quickly as possible. God bless you and have a fabulous day.
God bless. Thank you.